yes, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of unqualified people on social media with massive, massive followings selling generic PDF programs.
The personal training industry is always going to be a people job. There's always going to be elements of people know I can write into ChatGPT, what should I eat for fat loss?
And again, there's you're not going to get any genuine empathy or understanding.
I think the issue has always been in this industry is that this is one of the rare industries that the best don't rise to the top.
This now gives the people who don't really know their craft the license to just type something into ChatGPT.
So today's a topic that I've wanted to talk about since I heard the news about it, but I've been getting fragments of stuff and I didn't know much about it because I didn't think I could get it here, and that is ChatGPT. And while I still can't get it in Hong Kong, we have found another very, 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 very similar thing. And for the first time, I had a play with this, and it's both game-changing, exciting, and terrifying in equal measures. You've had this so much longer. Tell me what you've learnt and what you've used ChatGPT for.
So what I've learnt is it's certainly not perfect yet. There are issues which we'll get onto. It's not a case of you type in the most simple sentence and you get the secrets of the universe unfolded into you. Like, you've got to learn how to use it. It's built on prompts, right? It gives you the information you're looking for based on how specific your prompts are. So you have to learn how to do that first, right? So there's, as always, as soon as something new comes out, marketers figure out a way how to make money out of you by showing you how to use it when they've not necessarily mastered it themselves. But it's where I've played around with it was more to do with my marketing efforts than anything else. Because without trying to sound too egotistical, when it comes to health and fitness, I don't need the assistance of AI. And to be fair, if I'm doing my own research, I like digging into old articles. I like digging into old books, watching interviews, podcasts, things like that. That's part of my dopamine hit, right? It's my bread and butter. I don't need a text screen conglomerating information for me and putting it into a few sound bites and things like that. So in terms of my marketing side, okay, it can help me look at different angles to structure a certain sentence, or it can help me dig into the research of pain points of certain niches without me having to digest dozens and dozens of articles, that sort of thing. But again, I think you're only going to get the best out of it depending what you put into it first. If you ask it shit, basic fucking questions, you're going to get terrible basic stuff out of it. And even then, there is still an element of, if you know your stuff, you can make what it gives you even better yourself. If that makes sense.
Do you think, though, that we'll go on to a few reasons why it's good, potentially fantastic, and reasons why it's scary in a second, but do you think that one of the long-term scary ramifications of this, you said you can delve into a niche and pain points for somebody without having to do loads of research yourself, right? So is it going to push us? Because I generally think people will use this instead of Google in 5-10 years, because it'll be like Google will give you the information to solve a problem. This will just solve your problem. And we'll get people now that don't do their own research, aren't very, very versed in topics because this thing will solve all their problems for them, right? And we get people now already that have very, very strong opinions, like loose opinions held strongly because they don't actually look at other sides of the story. Do you think this will make that worse? Like for careers as well, right? Podcasters, write podcast questions for my show with X. And it just does it without you having to do the research on the guests themselves.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what people are probably already using it for as well, you know? Like, again, I have 2 Twitter accounts. I have too many social media accounts, but I only actually technically use 2 for scrolling. I have 2 Twitter accounts. One of them is my fat loss. One of them is my marketing. In the marketing circles, man, these guys having a complete orgasm over it, right? But we have to remember that the rest of the population aren't marketers. They're not going to be using ChatGPT for tell me 12 email subject lines will get open. They're not going to do that. So what might they use it for? Okay, the new Google, because it can digest everything into one long article rather than them having to sit through tons of different things. But realistically, how many people do that amount of research anyway? Really?
But those people who don't do the research now won't get found out. They will come across almost as capable as the people who have put the time and effort in.
This is part of the risk, right? Part of the risk. So again, like we kind of spoke already, some people are already using it for writing essays, things like that. Jordan Peterson has said this could be the end of the educational system. And it could do, but maybe the educational system has to change. Maybe this is the giant, dinosaur killing asteroid for the education system, where it goes, okay, we can't just rely on blind written essays and things like that, which I don't think really educates people anyway, or proves that you actually know what you talk about. So, because what's the difference? I would have copied all my schoolwork straight from the book without necessarily reading it and learning it and then writing it. So what's the difference there between someone asking ChatGPT or whichever one of these AIs to do some stuff there?
I got an A star in English literature. I got an A star in English literature without ever reading Lord of the Flies. So, this is just... I just had to work harder to try and make up for my laziness, right? Whereas this will basically allow that laziness to be easy.
Yeah. In my French exam, we were allowed a French to English dictionary. Can't speak a word of French, and I passed my French exam. Come on, So, in a way, it doesn't really change. At the higher education level, okay, yeah, cool. But I think if you're on the course where you get into a certain higher level of education where you would then need to use ChatGPT, you're probably not going to do that anyway. I think if you're at that certain higher level, you're fully invested in that area. You probably want to learn it because you see a future or a career in it. I'm not too sure yet. Obviously, there's a lot of wild claims. And there's wild claims because it's viral and it gets people's attention, and then it puts you as a certain expert in that field. And the worry is that uneducated, unqualified people are going to use it to appear qualified and educated. We're kind of seeing this already with social media. Let's keep it in the fitness industry. So there's probably a lot of people going, this is the end of the fitness industry, because now anyone can just type into ChatGPT, give me a program. I did this when I first when I first came across ChatGPT. I discovered it. It's mine. That's why I called it Chad GPT. So what happened was I got on it and I was like, let's see is this the end of the fitness industry? Write me out a 3-day-a-week full body training program for somebody who wants to lose a bit of fat, gain a bit of muscle, that has 1 year's gym experience. And it wrote me out 3 sessions that were okay, right? There was nothing on that program that was wrong at all. There was nothing on that program groundbreaking, nothing particularly inspiring either. It was just a basic hypertrophy program, right? And you can get that anywhere. You can buy Men's Health and get a basic hypertrophy program. You can go to the bookstore and do that. You can just follow the geezer in the gym who's on the machine before you are, do exactly what he does as well. You're going to get the same hypertrophy program. So
let's go through some of these, because I asked the same thing for various body parts, and I wanted to see what it said. And I thought it'd be interesting as 2 personal trainers, or anyone's watching this who thinking, I'm just going to use this to my workouts and not pay for a PT. Let's see if these are any good. So the first one is write a training program to grow my chest. And the program I got was 3 sets of 8 to 12 barbell bench press.
Okay.
3 sets of 8 to 12 incline bench press. 3 sets of 8 to 12 push-ups. And 3 sets of 8 to 12 cable crossovers. I hope this training plan helps you reach your goals. What it says. So, what's your initial thoughts on that chest training program?
So again, nothing groundbreaking, kind of basic, won't necessarily work for every single person. And there's more nuance in there that we need as well, But again, it's not taking an individual into account, and that's what we as personal trainers have the ability to do.
The arm one was the interesting one. I have 3 barbell curls, 3 sets of 8 to 12. Tricep pushdowns, same. Dumbbell hammer curls, and then tricep extensions. Is that the same?
Sweet.
Is it assuming lying tricep extensions, or is it actually push downs and another word for push downs?
Again, there's nuance. Where's the extra detail? Do you think it's not, without getting too Skynetty, it's not fully aware yet. It's basing its answers through very, 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 very fast calculation of everything that it's read. And apparently it's read, I think this is too basic for it to be true. Apparently it's read everything on the internet. Well, how's it ever going to possibly form an opinion then? It's not. In terms of what's best. So it could, it could have come up with an endless number of ARM programs. It's giving you something kind of basic, right? It could have come up with, if it's written everything, why isn't it giving you BPAC's ARM protocol? Why isn't it giving you a Poliquin ARM protocol? Why has it gone for that necessarily? So would you then experiment with prompts and go a little bit deeper and try and push it towards something that it would give you that BPAC had written, for example? I'm just coming up BPACs because I read an ARM program of BPACs the other day. So at the moment, it's just giving you the most basic answer, right? Which, again, this is where your prompts would then dig something out with a bit more detail. And if you are a member of the general public that is just using ChatGPT instead of Google, that's the program you're going to get, because you're not going to know to type in, give me a Poliquin style ARMS protocol for bicep growth or something along those lines, because you're not going to know it, right? So it could become the new search engine. And I think that's what people are using it more for at the moment than anything else. They're using it more like a search engine than an actual artificial intelligence assistant, although I hear of some amazing things that people are doing with it. So for the general population, that's all it's ever going to be. In which case, what answer is it going to give you? It's going to give you a conglomeration of the most basic answers out there, really.
But if it's artificial intelligence, is it always ever going to be that, or is it going to get to a point where it can be a one-stop shop for all of your issues?
Who knows? Back in my first gym job, where the techno gym representative came down, and we're talking like over 10 years ago, and he's showing us this brand new machine, and we just had like a conversation of where are things going to go. Like this machine had the usual heart rate hills programs, things like that. Games, which I instantly disabled on it because I wasn't having people in my gym coming in and playing games on a fucking treadmill. So I disabled all those, which the general management didn't like. Gym manager thought it was hilarious. General management didn't like it. So they wanted to use that as a selling point. Fuck off, bruv. No one's coming into the gym to play checkers while they're fucking running. So we had this conversation that always kind of stuck with me, that what's the next thing that's going to disrupt the industry? Because these machines, I think it measured running cadence or something like that. And obviously you could then attach your heart rate monitors to it, which was a new thing. So we wondered back then, is there going to be a point where personal trainers aren't needed because there's going to be holographic PTs coming out of the machine telling you how good you're doing, or full body scanners that can look at your running gait or look at your deadlift technique or look at that particular body part and tell you what to do. But I think that's still so far off, really. And that because not only have they got to develop that first, they've also then got to, take it to the point where it's not affordable for the mass public. And then it's going to get lower in price and lower in price and lower in price. I think we're doing great with these wearable techs. But again, they're still kind of basic, really. So
I think if you mix that with Kaiser, have you seen the Kaiser equipment?
No, not heard of this.
Kaiser equipment, they will sort of measure the amount of tension being produced. They're sort of like you don't necessarily have a weight stack. It sort of creates resistance as you pull through.
I think I know what you mean.
Control the speed and the tempo.
Right.
And that stuff, if you mix that with some and then link that to some wearables, you're pretty close, because you can literally say, well, you've created more tension this week than you did the previous week. So I don't know if we're as far off as you may think.
Maybe. I mean, mate, I'm definitely not an expert in this, right? Definitely not. And the thing is, this is why I'm not too worried for people that actually give a shit in the fitness industry. Because, yes, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of unqualified people on social media with massive, massive followings selling generic PDF programs that aren't necessarily making a shit ton of money, that aren't necessarily well respected by the general public. They're just shared by other personal trainers. So the amount of people out there that also have an Apple Watch or a Fitbit that aren't using the fitness elements of the Apple Watch or the Fitbit, they end up just using it as a watch, like, you know, like the treadmill that sits in the back being a clothes hanger. They might be looking for the next shiny object, but it doesn't mean it's going to get purchased or even necessarily used or even built, really. Because if you think the smartest products to come out of this are ones where the market research shows there's a demand. And is there a demand for this? I don't know if there is.
That's the thing,
that
right?
Makes me not worry too much.
I also think we've spoken about this on previous episodes, right? About what's the state of the personal training market now post-COVID, and that people are more than ever looking for reasons not to do stuff. Life is more comfortable. There's more reason than ever not to commit to something. So the personal training industry is always going to be a people job. There's always going to be elements of people know I can write to ChatGPT, what should I eat for fat loss? And we'll come back onto me trying that in a second. But we can, I could do that. I could make my program. And even if it's fantastic, there's no guarantee that I'm going to follow that plan. Like any personal training client. And ChatGPT cannot help me with that, but a personal trainer can.
Exactly. And again, you're not going to get any genuine empathy or understanding. And you're also not going to get, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, ChatGPT's never got shredded. ChatGPT's never gone through a 12-week transformation. So there's no personalization, there's no understanding of the process. And at the same time, this is the biggest thing. In terms of what's going to kill the fitness industry? What's going to kill the fat loss industry? Advancements in AI or advancements in medication? Advancements in medication. Because even with advancements in AI, where this thing can tell your heart rate and how hard you should work out today and how many steps you should get and what you should be eating, you've still got to do the work. Whereas the medication can just give you that pill or that injection that helps you drop a couple of pounds a little bit faster. Well, you don't necessarily have to do the work, where, of course, there's the caveat, you always have to do the fucking work. That's the difference. People are going to go more for the medication than they're going to go for the AI tech. Now, in terms of fitness, people that are already invested in their health and fitness are going to go more for the tech than they are the medication, because the medication is not going to improve their fitness and their overall health. Whereas the AI, if you're already invested, then you're going to want to see, okay, what's the next challenge? So people who are more invested in data, give me more data. Tell me exactly the stride length that I'm hitting per kilometer, or was rep 4 of my 5 rep max deadlift the same as rep 2 or whatever the hell, you know? So I think if it destroys the fitness industry, it's because the personal trainers gave up on it and went somewhere else instead, not because the tech was that good that it revolutionized the fitness industry or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's the biggest voices got scared and went, oh shit, what do I do now? I better go into recruitment.
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to some of the, like, looking at the stuff that's going to make an impact in the fitness industry dramatically, I think this might, in terms of fitness marketing, potentially make it harder for good personal trainers. I think the issue has always been in this industry is that this is one of the rare industries that the best don't rise to the top. Most industries, like the best lawyer tends to be the most high paid. In the fitness industry, that's never been the case. It's been the best influencers.
No.
It's been the person with the following. Now, if that person now with the following, who's a bit of a moron, now can write something that's way better than what they could write on their own, that divide becomes greater. But in terms of tech that I think might change things, I mean, I personally would love to see, like, like you get the speed devices that shows how like fast the bar is traveling. Like, I'd love to have that where you could have some sensation of like how much tension you're creating, how much the rep speed starting to drop, and give you a prediction of how many reps you could do on the next weight.
Ooh.
to give you confidence, like genuine confidence going into a set. I think that would be amazing. I don't know how it's possible, but I think
where there's real potential utility in the sports science realm, where we're always looking for bigger, stronger, faster, more elite athletes. That's where there's some real utility, and where there's a hell of a lot more funding behind these things as well. But I don't see it as a great tool for the general. Certainly not in its current form. It's not a great tool for the general public, because at the moment it is just a text to text device. Really, it's not evolved into text to video or text to feedback or.
Do you think?
Is it even text? Do you think it will? I don't think it is it?
Do you think it will make personal training less personal? Because we've already seen a shift to people doing online coaching. We've already seen people shift to scale, because that's what the business coach are promoting. Could it be like where someone takes their client's check-in response, copies it into ChatGPT and goes, "Could you write a check-in reply to my client?"
We could. We probably could. It probably already is there, you know. It's, again, like you kind of touched upon it with fitness marketing. This now gives the people who don't really know their craft the license to just type something into ChatGPT. And there's marketers showing them how to do it as well. Give me 12 hooks for 12 TikTok videos, and write me out a video script for a TikTok video on each of those hooks, on each of those subjects. And you just got to memorize the script and do it. But again, if there's no knowledge of your audience, or if there's no real audience, or if there's no real knowledge, you're not going to know what your people need. So obviously we know that the fitness industry does not appeal to one particular demographic. There's so many sub-niches of those demographics, and even then there's sub-niches of those sub-niches. So here's 10 reps to get a stronger deadlift doesn't apply to the busy single mum of 3 that can't even get to the fucking gym, or the busy professional that everyone likes to market to, that wants to get his blood pressure down.
Well, that is everybody. That is a niche that covers everybody. That's the problem with it, right? Everyone is busy. Everyone is a professional.
Yeah. So, and again, it's the tool. It's using the tool, right? To
give you an idea of the personality of this, if people wanted to sort of give a response to their client's message, I just put how to get 10,000 steps, and it gave me a list, and I just replied the prompt, "Make this more client friendly." And then it changed those list of things from the 10,000 steps to reach your 10,000 steps, you can start by setting yourself a daily goal and tracking your progress. You can then break it down into smaller achievable steps, such as taking walks during your lunch break or taking the stairs instead of the elevator. Additionally, you could use a fitness tracker or app to help you stay motivated to reach your goal. I mean, it doesn't completely sound like me, but it sounds like a message you get from a human.
Sure. Very true. Very true. Again, that's hitting the nail on the head there, right? It doesn't sound like it's come from you. So it can never really truly match your voice yet. I'm certain if you were to put it, I think Jordan Peterson touched on this, that he asked it to write something in the style of him or in the style of someone else, and it was absolutely perfect. But obviously, it's only going to write in the style or the voice of certain well-known figures, and this is where a lot of social media celebrity trainers are going to fall down when they realise they're not actually that much of a celebrity. Because if someone is going to go on there and go, right, AI, give me, I want a 12-week transformation program, and this is the gym I'm going to be at, or this is the equipment I've got at home, and I want you to create a holographic Arnold Schwarzenegger that's going to check my form and correct me and beat me through the reps and give me all the sort of things that Arnie would have done back in the day. They're going to go for that. They're not going to go for ex-semi-pro footballer on TikTok with his 20,000 followers that's preaching something that he's learned off of, Jordan Peters or something like that. They're not going to go for that. Those people aren't as big and famous as they think they are. So, I mean, that's what I would do. 100% that's what I would do. Of course I would. But I don't know. Maybe not Arnie. I don't know. I'll have to think about this.
I think one thing that I was, in a way, kind of impressed with is that I don't know about ChatGPT, but the one we can get here in Hong Kong, it does have almost some rules to kind of stop it being sort of overly influential, and especially on certain topics. And we can go on to the dangers of that in a second. So I just started asking very silly questions. So I started off with who should be the next James Bond, and they couldn't give me any information on celebrities. So I can ask for, I asked Owen Farrell's career history. They gave me all of his career history, but it couldn't give me an opinion. And I asked who would win in a fight, Jesus or Moses, and it wouldn't give me anything based on religion. But bringing it back to the fitness industry, I asked for nutrition advice for a 90-kilo man wanting to lose fat who's 20% body fat.
Cool.
And it would not give advice on nutrition.
Ooh.
Which I thought was interesting. I get the religious, I get the opinions on people, but not giving advice on nutrition. Now, and that gives me two thoughts, and I don't know what this is. It's either because that's something that it realizes is super personal, or are we going down a little bit of, I don't want to, he doesn't want to go against body positivity.
That's going to be a big part of it, right? There's a lot of people arguing now that, because again, the AI is only going to give back what it's been fed. So there's a nature versus nurture argument going on, right? So I think it was, whether it was Google's or Microsoft's one, this was years back, that their AI eventually started talking right-wing, Nazi, fascist speech. But it depends, who was feeding stuff into it. It probably was like one giant fucking... I think it turned out later to be a prank that they found out the people who were feeding stuff into it. But it's in Silicon Valley, so...
California is no offense to anyone from California, if you even consider this offensive, but they are slightly more woke-leaning part of the world.
Massively so.
So if they're being built at this, is this going to have that sort of leaning in ChatGPT?
That's the big part of it, right? That's the big part of it. So when I went on it, and because I use Midjourney as well, which is one of the arts generators, AI art generators. Okay. And it's phenomenal, right? I haven't used it in ages because it's a bit of a time suck as well. Unless I'm using it for a specific project, and I have no art project, so why am I using it? But one of the things I wanted to test was, I love the fact that there's faked UFO photos, and I think some of them are just so clever, and I'm like, how the hell did they do that? It looks so good. So I asked ChatGPT to give me the prompts that I could put into Midjourney that would create a photorealistic UFO that might look real enough to pass as, and it wouldn't do it. It gave me a long rundown on why I shouldn't falsify photos, and then it went into the realms of conspiracy theory. It went into the proper realms of conspiracy theory. So I argued with it. I argued with AI. Oh my God. And it just always kept coming back to, so I used, for example, it basically said aliens aren't real and UFOs, there's nothing to suggest any paranormal reference to it, and this is the realm of conspiracy theory and things like that. So I then plugged into, what do you think about this? And I put Commander David Fravor's testimony about the Tic Tac UFO, and I put in another and all this stuff, and it just kept coming back with, well, this is an interesting point of view that should be considered, and it just kept coming back with, we shouldn't dive into conspiracy theories and things like that. It was like a politician's answer. Wow. It was crazy. And there was another one where I was asking, I can't remember exactly what, it was something to do with mental health, but I was asking for references or trying to put some research together into something. And the first thing it did was came up with this long paragraph, almost checking if I'm okay, like with numbers on it for Samaritans and things like that. I was like, whoa, wow, where's that come from?
That's a scary thing as well, right? Because I had a client that's an ex-client that was involved in sort of the technology behind certain fitness tech. He was saying that we can work on things now with linking up things like Apple Watches and Oura Rings, whatever, to your search history on the internet. So you get to a point where, based off your search history and based on your health data, it can tell you you're dangerously sick before you know you're dangerously sick. And that is, and while in one hand that is a huge positive, right? People can find out things before they become problems and save lives. But on the flip side of that is scary that your technology will know more about you than you. And for people out there that are hypochondriacs, how the havoc that will also wreak on people It's an interesting topic, this artificial intelligence, because I look at it with such excitement plus such fear. In equal measures, it could go so far, especially if it's politically leaning, because while people like us, who, like we've had on the show, right, we have met our biases like everybody else, but I think we're quite open to suggestion. We're quite open to trying to find the answers. We're quite normally, in most arguments, we're kind of middle ground with a lean. But the longer this goes on, the better this gets. The more people that are younger haven't formed their opinion on the world, and this forms their opinion on the world. And that's the scary thing now, when those sort of things start to happen.
This kind of brings it back to the social media argument of, can anything ever really be impartial? Well, we know the three major platforms certainly aren't. So what did the hardcore MAGA crowds do? They created their own platforms, in which case that just creates a massive echo chamber, and not everyone's going to rush over to that, which is why they've not grown in popularity anywhere near as close as original people thought they would. So there's nothing to be scared of there. But this obviously has worldwide potential utility that can almost be forced upon us. Like, people can't force you to use a particular social media platform and that's it. They can just almost force what you see. You've still got to choose to go on there. But if suddenly Google decides, well, we're not going to be Google anymore, we're going to be Google GPT or whatever, and use their own AI instead, and you know, most people need to use Google or a variant of, then suddenly you're forced to use that particular platform, in which case you are very, very controlled in terms of what you see based on what they've fed it. I think this is part of why Elon Musk worries about the AI, is because there's not going to be any impartiality or neutrality to it. There is almost going to be not an agenda, but a lean a certain direction.
Yes, through no fault particularly, because it is the people who make it have a leaning themselves, and they are programming for these things. But the repercussions of that these right or wrong, or these persons' views, it's not about right or wrong. It's these persons' views will eventually become the main majority view, to the point where there is now less diverseness of opinion. There is less discussion. We're already seeing a drop in discussion. We've discussed that before. And that's the thing that scares me about it. I was watching an episode of Modern Wisdom recently where they talk about AI and talking about some of the things that people found in terms of a certain leaning, and inclusivity was a big one. And someone, what was it? It was not mansplaining. I told you about it before we came on air. What was the word I was using for? Oh my God. Annoyingly on air, I forgot this. But basically, a lot of words with the word man within them were asked for have a more inclusive term, including the word manhole. So I asked my ChatGPT yesterday more inclusive terms for the word manhole, and you got and if like manhole, as much as you could have a rude connotation for that word, I would generally think manhole in the street. What do you think about these as replacements? If these became the general accepted terms, I want to know what you think of these. Access chamber, or utility hole.
Utility hole. That's what it's going to be.
I'm all for the change to utility hole. Apparently, manatee survived the cut, though. You can call a manatee a manatee.
Okay, we can call manatee.
Yeah. So the animal hasn't changed. Okay. That's not toxic. But this is the thing, right? Like when you're suggesting language that is, like, is it better? I suppose, like, it's hard to say, right? Because when you're looking at inclusive language, sometimes, like anything, there are drawbacks to potentially overforcing people to have this. But on the flip side of this, there are terms now that we look back that were generally accepted 50 years ago that none of us would use. So is this just the start of that again? Where us, the equivalents of us, that like 13, when we're old men and there's two other, 30, 40-year-old people doing a podcast, they would think that we are very controversial for what we say because it's just 40 years down the line.
Who knows?
And this is a good thing.
Who knows how? Essentially, it's the evolution of speech, right? That's what it is. And we can't have evolution of speech without freedom of speech. So there has to come a point where, okay, things are being said that people don't agree with, and terms and words are being used because that's just the times. And then eventually we, or most of us, evolve to points where we don't use those words because you then recognise that whilst you may not use them with a certain intention behind them, they have the ability to affect how someone feels and how someone acts based on using them. There are words and terms you and I would never use, even in the most heated of situations, that other people use in just general flipping language, right? But who knows what it's going to be like in another 40 years' time? Will we have evolved past those terms? Will these new, more inclusive terms that are in some realms trying to be forced on us, will they be accepted, or will they be laughed and ridiculed, and in 40 years' time we look back and go, well, why did we change it to Fisher them, in the Sam Smith interview, or access chamber instead of manhole? It's just a fucking manhole. Who cares?
Do you think there's potentially the rise of people being, let's quote unquote, cancelled is going to increase with these sort of AIs, because these AIs will remember anything somebody has said on the internet? We're seeing this at the moment with J.K. Rowling and the new Harry Potter game. That people are boycotting this Harry Potter game for tweets that J.K. Rowling made many years ago. Now, we're going to get more of this with AI when everyone's stuff is already on record, but it's not that you have to hunt for records anymore. It's like someone stumbled across a tweet from 2001. You can, if you wanted to weaponize somebody, if someone didn't like you, he goes, could you find something controversial that Robb McGeary has said? And goes, yes, in 2005, Robb said X. And that then could become the thing that's used to weaponize against you.
Yeah, it could be. It really, really could be. Again, without getting too conspiratorial, but it's going to flipping happen. The deep fake technology is way, way more worrying than AI.
I agree.
Once they figure out how to use deep fakes with AI so it can come up with its own answers, then we're in chaos. Then the world's in flipping chaos. Because how are you ever going to know what's true or not? If there comes a point that we know they have really, really successfully merged deepfake technology with AI, then my God, I'm never turning on my TV, my phone, my laptop ever again, because you're not going to know what's true. So all you can then do is focus on what's directly in front of you. That's the terrifying part of the future for me. But until it definitely goes that way, there seems to be people having fun with it at the moment.
Yeah. Or when those technology becomes easy enough to use, that it's not just like at the moment to do a deep fake good enough to cause harm, you need to have a good level of technical skill. Now, while there's a lot of people that have that technical skill, it is not the majority of people. When someone can get pissed off at their mate and ruin them because it's that easy, you can do it via an app. That's when I get scared. And where it could, like, petty stuff could be finalized on this, like revenge stuff could be finalized on this, and that's what scares me. But yeah, I agree with you. I think at this moment in time, I don't think certainly going back to the fitness industry, I don't think it's going to impact our careers. None of the programs I've watched on this, especially if it doesn't touch nutrition, I don't feel it's going to happen. And I think we're in a people business enough for it to not impact us. If anything, I think it can help us make our quality of our opinions and our words. We can write our articles in this and go, make this more Google. Like the way I thought of it, it's like I'm not a huge blog post writer, but I could write an article and could you correct the grammar in this and make it more Google AdWord friendly? So it's my words, but it's now my words that get me out to be seen by more people. Could I put the this is an idea. Could I put the transcripts or the descriptions that I do to these podcasts into ChatGPT and make this something that Google is going to push on their algorithms? These things are very possible now to get people like us. And anyway, I'm not saying us is like, everyone should listen to us, but people like us that spent years and time in the trenches. And in my case, you're better marketers than I am, but who maybe haven't got necessarily the skills to get that voice heard, it gives them a level playing field. Yes, the people that are influencers could spread the gap, but you have the equal gap to now kind of go, right, I'm going to use this to help my shortcomings so I can focus on my getting results with clients and not focus on copywriting, sorry, for your business. That's the business it might ruin. Do you think it'll ruin your copywriting?
Well, this is the big thing among copywriters now. As soon as, like, within a week of ChatGPT being unleashed on the public, every copywriting article, every copywriting tweet was, is this the end of copywriters? Well, it's the end of copywriters who don't know how to copyright. That's what it is. It's the end of people that don't know how to research, that don't know. You could easily, as I tested out, ask ChatGPT to come up with some headlines for emails, come up with headlines for landing pages, come up with email scripts. And I asked it to do so, and I was not impressed by the results. And I had to change a lot of it to match my voice, to speak directly to my audience. In which case I was like, the amount of time this has taken me to do this, could have just written my own email. And in terms of what's going to perform better, a email titled and based on here's 5 tips to lose fat, or an email based on here's how I went from 23 stone, inflamed, depressed, miserable to whatever the hell I am now, and here's my story on how to do so. ChatGPT can't create that story for you. No AI can create that story for you. So that's the more powerful marketable piece.
Has Harry put his story into ChatGPT? Is the fact that you referenced 23 stone exactly what he started
Harry is AI. Did you not realise Harry's my little AI? It's only because I was just thinking I've got tasks on my phone and Harry's name popped up.
For anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, go back 2 episodes in the show, listen to the episode with Harry. It's really, really good. And then listen to all of them and subscribe and press the follow button and put my show into ChatGPT and share it with all of your friends. There you go.
So here's how it can help you as a marketer. It can save you a ton of time, because here you are doing what is still one of the most powerful marketable content forms out there. Long form content, long videos, long podcasts, which a large percentage of people still listen to, away from the TikTok, Instagram, 15-second reel thing. Eventually, what did TikTok and Instagram have to do? Make their video content longer, because people want that. They don't want 15 seconds. So you can then take the transcript of this and say, you can then break it down onto your 4 or 5 media platforms that you're going to use. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever. You can then put the transcript of this into ChatGPT and say, break this down into an SEO-friendly article for clients that are looking for XYZ. Whatever that XYZ is, it will then find the bits in here where we spoke directly about that. Then you can ask it to break it down into a Twitter thread. So you've not got to sit there and type out the Twitter thread with the right spacing and the right character length. Then you can ask it to take that Twitter thread and turn it into Instagrammable carousel, where you still might have to do a bit of artwork design in Canva or Midjourney or whatever. Don't use it for Midjourney for that. Don't. And then you've got like how many pieces of content to go across X amount of platforms that took you a quarter of the time it would have done if you were doing it all manually, right? So that's what it can do. It can save you a ton of time. If you are a PT and you're worried about this stuff, look at it as how it can help you save a ton of time first, or how it can help you in the creative process. So maybe you're not too sure how to write a decent tweet. So you can use it to write tweet examples. Don't just blindly copy and paste, because people end up realizing this, that we can tell we're quite intuitive creatures, but you can help it structure your content to make the content creation process easier for you and more time saving. Because who the hell wants to sit there and go, Jesus, I've got to write out a load of tweets, and I've got to do my Instagram carousel, and I need to film it into a video as well. Oh, shit, and I've got to do another YouTube video. No one wants to do that. The other thing to remember is, especially if you're a PT that thinks this could be the end of the industry and you're panicking, don't forget we see what the media wants us to see. There's a lot of people out there that do not give a fuck about this stuff. There are a lot of people out there, a lot of successful PTs out there who are delivering flyers door to door without a single Facebook ad that are making more money than we are. Because there are clients out there.
I've done it around gyms this week. I've gone and applied, and I tell you what, even if none of those people buy from this seminar, the more I do, the more people know who I am, the more people understand the gym, and it's not just a seminar from some bloke running education. It's, I remember Simon. He took the time to come to our gym, say hello, had a talk, help me help out with some stuff. It was very pleasant. And I think it's lost now with the whole cold call, cold email, cold Instagram DM, that there is no personalization to stuff.
Not at all. Not at all. And even then, the most successful cold emails will be ones that offer genuine value and are personalized. Some of them are terrible. There's now AI-based, not completely sending or anything like that, AI-based things for cold email where, for example, I can scrape 1,000 email addresses from LinkedIn profiles. And what it will also do is scan those LinkedIn profiles for something personal that I can then add as a first line automatically into my cold email going to that person. In which case, within an hour, I've got 1,000 email addresses, names, a personalized piece about them that I just put into my email template, and poof, off it goes through my email software. And that's 1,000 people emailed in under an hour, all with something personal. But the problem is when you go back and look at some of these things, the personalization's based on what they've put on their LinkedIn profile. And some people's LinkedIn profiles are shit. So there I am, 39-year-old Robb in Essex, doing email marketing, email list management for fit pros and coaches, and it's gone to Karen in Tennessee, who's 50, physio working with, I don't know, whatever. And the personalization is, oh, I saw you graduated like some varsity name university, some fraternity or something she was in. Well done, keep going. I'm like, that's terrible. What the fuck is that?
Well, this is the thing. I would
never write that.
This is the thing, right?
Picking up on what's there.
Yeah, this is the thing. And you see this with people going into DMs and making money, right? You see the difference between these people that make 10, 15, 20 grand months for these business coaches. Often the difference between them and the other people, it's not necessarily that the one's doing more or less DMs.
Yeah.
It's that one person has a better style of doing these things. Yeah. I outsourced to a VA earlier this year, and I've pulled back. And it's just because maybe I just wasn't at the point where I could teach her well enough how to sound like me. But like, when we got worked with stuff, and I tried hard to talk about things we could say, and I still kept coming to my DMs with, "Hi, James, I can see from your page you get good client results." That was the personalization. And I'm like, people don't speak like this.
No.
And people don't respond to it. So for people there worried that ChatGPT will now automate everything, it's like someone who has no ability to personalize a DM script. You don't buy from them. You buy from the person that's taken the time to get to know you. This ain't going to change that. You're just going to get more spammy rubbish things in your request folder.
If I take the latest spammy thing I've received on my personal Insta, not even on my business, on my personal one, it doesn't even say my name. It just opens with, "You're probably not going to see this, ... Doesn't even say my name. So no personalization. But if you're a business owner or want to become one, well, you should know this already. If you're cold DMing me, you should know if I'm a business owner or if I want to become one or whatever. And then it's terrible, right? Like it's offering YouTube automation, even though I don't talk about YouTube on my Instagram. If anything, if you're DMing me on Instagram, you should be talking about Instagram automation, not fucking YouTube automation, right? And even though it has spelled automate, somehow it's broken down the word automation into 3 separate words. It's amazing. It's amazing. But
well, at least they show they're using the automation themselves.
Exactly. So if I want to send a terrible fucking message that's only going to appeal to desperate personal trainers with a bit of extra cash, then of course I'm going to sign up for their services. But until that day comes, how many people are going to do this? And again, I'm not a massive fan myself of the cold DMing people on Instagram from a fitness fat loss perspective. It's a very tricky, risky area, and you have to have had some sort of interaction with that person to begin with, I believe. Many people will say I'm wrong, and that's cool. But I believe there has to be some sort of interaction first. Otherwise, you're just coming across salesy, and we don't want salesy. Yeah. We want help. We want personalization. We want empathy.
I got one that was, I think, was better than your automations one. I had someone slide into my Instagram DMs once and said, hi, I've been following your page for a while, and I think you'd be perfect to sponsor our brand, right? And then it's talked about their brand. And it was a sports bra company. Yeah. And I went, so you got this from my profile? You looked at my profile and personally thought that I would be a good representation for sports bras. I'm hoping you've not looked at my profile. Otherwise, that is an insult.
That is terrible. It just shows how much data out there is about you that can be falsely interpreted. So, for example, I get a fair amount of people asking me to be a brand ambassador for their jewelry. I'm like, where the hell has this come from? And then it occurred to me, I follow Modern Wisdom. I follow Chris Williamson. I'm active on his profile. I comment. I like. One of his big sponsors is Craft, a London-based jewelry company. So what they're probably doing is going, right, who are our competitors? Craft. Who speaks a lot about Craft? Chris Williamson. So a lot of people who follow Chris Williamson will recognize that Craft is a sponsor, and they recognize he wears their stuff, and they probably like his fashion and his body stuff. So let's target those. But again, I couldn't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about jewelry. I never wear jewelry. So it's terrible. But the data's there. The data's there for them to link A to B and come up with X or, whatever the wrong answer is, So again, these things can only direct answers based on what they're fed, based on what the question is to begin with. And without being horrible, most people aren't educated enough to understand that, to use it to its best potential, in which case they'll never get its best out of it.
And most people are smart enough to realize when they get a fake message.
Most.
So I want to finish on one topic before we finish. It's a slight sidestep, but it goes back to something you brought up earlier on. And I think we've come to the conclusion that ChatGPT and AI at this stage isn't going to be a thing that ruins the fitness industry. But you said that you feel that medical is. What impact do you think that semaglutide will have on our jobs?
So okay, I wasn't too worried about semaglutide. It has utility. It certainly has utility, but it comes with a ton of side effects, which is probably going to require a lot of other medication to combat some of those side effects as well. It's not going to be it's never as simple as you inject and you lose weight. It's never as simple as that. We've seen however many things over the years. I forget the name. It was a big one where it stops you absorbing the fat from your diet. It's still available now. And again, like, people are, the obesity rate's still going up, so it obviously didn't do anything. In terms of things like that, what it will do, especially when celebrities push it, is a certain percentage of the population will jump on it because they think it's the magic cure and it's going to solve all their issues, but it's not. Because you've not changed any habits or behaviors or patterns, you're still going to just take that and continue to do what you're doing. So whilst it might help you drop a little bit of fat over a short period of time, it's certainly not the magic pill. That has not been created yet. The sheer number of side effects terrifies me. And I wasn't worried before because I was like, it doesn't matter. On the NHS, this is only going to be prescribed to people of a certain BMI, of a certain nature. But I saw something yesterday that high street stores might have this soon. Now, again, I hope it's hidden behind prescription. I hope it's not over the counter. I can't imagine it would be. Off the shelf, sorry. I can't imagine it would be. And to be fair, I didn't read. I just saw the headlines. So I'm going to look a little bit deeper into that. But again, it's the people that this medication can help the most aren't necessarily the ones that want to see the change, because their level of awareness is so low. So what happens is, who gets angry about it? Fitness industry, PTs. We argue that doctors don't know what they're doing, that they're underqualified, that they're undereducated. When, if as it is, the obesity and overweight rates are still rising, heart disease still rising, diabetes still rising. So we can't say the fitness industry is the cure. We can't say it is. If anything, we need a new realm of the fitness industry that just helps create awareness. It doesn't necessarily tell people what to do and be the coaching solution. It just makes people aware of where they are. But we're not, most of the industry is too obsessed on itself first. So that's not going to happen.
I think there's two things to bear in mind. I think there's two things to bear in mind, though, with this semaglutide thing. The first off, that it's an injection. And while it could be the most incredible weight loss drug in the world, people aren't going to want to take an injection voluntarily. A lot of people are scared. If this was a pill, this would be much more scary. Sure. But it's like how many people want to get bigger, but how many few people are going to take anabolic steroids? And you know how people go. There was a video recently by Mike Isotel who suggested talking about gear use and what to use as a beginner stack, and he suggested orals, which no one does. And everyone goes, "Oh, well, you're an idiot if you use orals because it's way more dangerous and all this sort of stuff on the liver." Which jury's out. Not entirely sure that that's actual injectable steroids are. They're not. Sure. People go, injectable steroids bypass the liver. No, they don't. No, they don't at all. We said about this in the steroid episode, which again, go and watch. But I also think that that's a good bit of advice, because one of the biggest barriers to entry for people wanting to dabble in this sort of stuff is the fact that they don't want to take an injection, and people don't question the psychology. So I think that it's not going to be as big a thing as people think, because people aren't going to voluntarily stab themselves with a needle or go to a place to get stabbed with a needle. Right? See how many people wanted to be anti-vaxxed, let alone have a fat loss injection.
Yeah.
But the pro, I was having this conversation with semaglutide with a colleague of mine, and he was saying, like, he is a sort of fan of it, and because one of our other friends who's also a PT was like yourself, like you were just saying, doesn't improve habits, people are still unhealthy. But while that's true, is it easier to sort those habits out as a coach if hunger and appetite isn't always the first focus on your mind? If you can curb that thing, is it easier to deal with the loneliness, the stress eating, the emotional response, the baggage behind that, if hunger isn't the constant thing on their mind?
Does it
get rid of a barrier
of Spencer? I apologise for butchering his name. Spencer Nadolski.
Yes.
I'm a big fan of him because, he's a practicing, I don't know if it's GP or physician or whatever it is, because it's American medicine. I don't understand it. But that's exactly how he puts it. This is a tool that is going to help him whilst he teaches his clients how to diet, how to exercise, how to manage their emotions, how to sleep better, how to minimize their stress, how to do all the things that are going to lead to their weight loss. And at no point is he saying that semaglutide is the injection that you take and you lose weight and it's fucking fantastic. It's very, very, very clear on a ton of side effects. You have to do the lifestyle changes to make this work. So the people who might take it, if it is just kind of freely allowed, the people who might take it and then go down to Greg's and get 12 vegan sausage rolls and a bunch of cakes as well and eat those, and obviously it's not going to work. Eventually they're going to go, well, this doesn't work. Rather than looking at the lifestyle that they're leaving, they're going to go, well, this injection doesn't work. I'm not taking that anymore. So it's the same as all these things. I forget the name. This annoyed me that I can't remember the name. So one of my clients worked on it and she said it was fantastic. Of this one that stopped you absorbing the fat from your diet. And I believe it is still out there. I believe it's still available on the high street.
I'm aware of it.
But if that was the case, if that was the big cure, the fix-all, then that would have done the job by now. And it hasn't, because the lifestyle factors are so much bigger than any medication, magic pill, AI, fitness program, whatever the hell it is. And we're so easy to forget that. We like to think that the nation is sat there in pain going, oh, I'm so overweight and out of shape and I can't stand this and I need help right now. There's a lot of people that are not at that stage of contemplation yet. They're not. So we still need to work with those people first before they choose their medicine, so to speak.
Do you think with those sort of drugs that stops you absorbing fat from your diet, there's going to be a massive issue with vitamin A, D, E, and K malabsorption?
Those are my questions way back. This was GlaxoSmithKline was the company she worked for. And those are my questions. And to be fair, my understanding of it wasn't deep enough to really think about the long-term implications of that in terms of nutrition absorption. I don't know, had that already been figured out? Was it a certain percentage of fat that it stopped you absorbing so you could still, have your fat-soluble vitamin intake? I don't know. I honestly don't know. But part of me thinks maybe not. Maybe that's one of the side effects. Or maybe that's where the side effects come from, because it is stopping you from absorbing a certain amount of nutrition. I forget whose episode it was. I think it was the latest Rogan, and he had Lex Fridman on. They were talking about Elon Musk taking semaglutide. And they looked into the side effects, and the big side effect of it is muscle loss and tissue loss and tendon strength going down, because it is stopping you from eating. So therefore, you're going to eat less, you're going to have less nutrition. So all the things that would keep you healthy and maintain muscle mass and joint strength and bone density, all these things, still have to be in place. The amount of protein you're eating, training with resistance, getting out for steps, focusing on your sleep, all these things still have to be in place. In which case, for me, why not just do that anyway, rather than taking an injection or a pill? I'd like to think that if a fully proven and tested medication came out that was like, you can take this pill within like a month, like you take 2 pills a day and within a month you'll be six-pack shredded with no loss of muscle mass, no loss of bone density. I'd like to think I still don't see the appeal of taking it, because I enjoy the process. I enjoy working out. And yeah, X amount of people won't. But again, would they value that end result enough to take that? Probably not.
Exactly. It's how many people get to the end result and feel unfulfilled after even doing the work because it's not what they wanted. It's the person they've become doing it that actually is the thing that helps them make that step forward. Or even if they do, they might realize actually it wasn't abs that made me happy, it's what I thought abs would give me. And I may or may not have that in my life. And I think people, certainly in today's social media world, people are trying to find a thing to encapsulate happiness rather than trying to find it for themselves. And I'm not against the idea of health and fitness being that thing, because I think it can teach you a lot of the lessons that can get you there, but it's not a guarantee that your new body is going to solve all your world's problems. Yeah. But I think to sort of close this off, both on the chat GPT front and on the drugs front, Spencer Nodsky's right. If we can start using these things and start discussing these things as tools rather than bad or good, and get out of this camp mentality, finding that middle ground, that nuance where it's much easier to deal with your emotional issues with food if you're constantly not hungry, because that's always going to be on the forefront of your mind. So if that's a tool that allows you to actually start working on these things without distraction, it's a good thing. And for some people, the rewards outweigh the risks. But for me and you, wanting to get into photo shoot shape, I'm not going to start taking semaglutide anytime soon.
No. Or even any other medication, asthma medication, as a lot of PTs out there take. Again, the risk to reward is not good. Is the ratios off for me,
Have you again, you can decline to answer. I like to think we're an episode of truth. Have you ever used the asthma medication?
Yeah.
By the way, if we're going to talk about it, it's clenbuterol. Yeah.
It's called clenbuterol, and it's basically an asthma medication that has these. What should we call them? Again, it's not a weight loss pill. It's certainly not a fucking weight loss pill, but it certainly ramps certain things up. And I had shakes, anxiety on it all day long, headaches, and I took it for less than a week before going, whoa, this is not fucking worth it. I don't care if this gets me absolutely peeled. I can't be like this. The anxiety was the worst part of it. Like almost like paranoia levels of anxiety crept in.
I struggled to train.
Yeah, couldn't train properly. Just couldn't sleep on it either. So all the things that I needed to be in the best shape of my life, suddenly I couldn't do. Because this tiny fucking pill was so like, I'm not taking that there. Not taking that again. Jesus. Yeah.
So lessons, kids. Say your prayers, take your vitamins, and do not take clenbuterol.
Damn right. Damn right.
So for anyone who wants to learn about your offerings for fat loss that don't involve clenbuterol or semaglutide, and you can get marketing that is personal to you, that is not through ChatGPT, where do people find you?
So you find me on Fat Loss Fastlane for the obvious one out of the two there, or you find me on Copy Domination for the other one, for the marketing one, if you are in the realm of looking to improve your email marketing game. I think my personal one's private again, so there's no point. There's no point. No point plugging that one. And I'm just talking bollocks on that one. You can hear me talk enough bollocks on this. You don't need to follow me on my private and stuff.
I think people enjoyed you talking bollocks on this. And as always, if you enjoyed the show, please share with anyone you feel needs to hear it. We are about 3 months away from being 2 years old. So I would like, as much as I would like downloads like anything, if you're a Spotify guy or an Apple person, like, be my guest. But I urge you, if you can, just pop onto YouTube, search Simon Kingsley Dutton and give us a subscribe. I would like, it's a small number, but it's a milestone for me. By the time we hit 2 years, I want to hit 500 subscribers. And I want to get more people's eyes on this podcast. The more eyes we get on this show, or ears, the better the guests will be. And the more we can do with this. And as I've said on the review episode, I moved back to the UK in June, and I have big plans to make this a bigger part of my time and to push this further. So the more we can do, if you're a big fan of the show, please help us out. Share it with anyone who follows. Give me a tag at Kingsley Dutton. I will personally thank you, not through ChatGPT. I will personally give you a voice note for anyone that shares, and we can start to become friends. But thank you very much, everyone. Thanks, Rob, again. I'll speak to you soon.
You